when Jews come to Jesus. Coming up next on Deceptions of the Ages News. Hello everybody, and welcome back to Deceptions of the Ages News. I know I said I probably wouldn't be posting any more videos. In fact, I said I wouldn't be posting any more videos on this channel, but the fact is, I really miss you guys, and there's so much going on right now, I just can't ignore it, because every day I'm looking at the news and what's going on, I'm going, nobody's telling these people the truth. So let's talk today about why Jews are coming to Jesus. Okay, so I guess this starts about a week or so ago. I was watching this TV or this YouTube channel called Israel 7, right? And it's basically the Bibi Netanyahu propaganda channel, but they show what's going on in Israel. So if you think if there's going to be a war imminent, then the best place to watch would probably be an Israeli news channel, because they tend to tell the truth, and because they are speaking English on the channel. Wouldn't get that kind of treatment over in Iran probably. So the first thing that we need to talk about is a really remarkable thing that I saw on Israel 7 News about a week or so ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. Now, let me just give you a background if you don't know about it. The Jewish people, the Hebrews, wonderful people, have been playing a dangerous game for a very long time. Now, what game have they been playing? Well, the game that they have been playing is based upon the fact that, number one, there was this guy named Jesus. And Jesus was a Jew. And a lot of people don't really remember that. But yes, everybody, Jesus was actually Jewish, right? And he would have, of course, not have been the first Christians, because the first Christian would have worshipped Jesus. So he was actually Jewish, and he was called a rabbi in the Aramaic language, which is the language they spoke. So with Jesus, there came to be a problem. Because of course we know that Jesus was crucified. Now, with what we know today about Jesus and studying him and looking at, his personality and all that, Jesus did what he did because that's what Jesus wanted to do, okay? People will say that he was basically here on kind of a suicide mission, and he had to do what he did. Well, in the faith of Christianity in the Middle Ages, it wasn't that simple. In fact, it wasn't like that at all. In fact, with one church being able to keep a monopoly on the faith by not preaching it in the language of the people who attended their masses, but actually just spoke Latin, which nobody spoke. Nobody really knew what was going on with Jesus, and they saw the crucifixion statue, but Christians generally didn't know much about Jesus except that he was killed by the Jews. Yes, and this came out in the Inquisition of the 1300s and early and possibly late Middle Ages. But yes, the Inquisition that if you were not Catholic, you were basically tortured and killed until you became a Catholic. So this was the reason for conversions of many Jews and Muslims throughout and some parts of even France in the Middle Ages. All right, so with this background, remember this, that the Jewish people who lost their homeland when the Romans kicked them out in 70 AD and said, we've had enough of this, they got spread throughout the world, basically throughout Russia, throughout England, France, Germany. And they lived in their own little communes where they, not communes, but their own little communities where they spoke their own languages and had their own religion and their own ideas. So when it came to people who are not very well educated in the Middle Ages, there was a lot of racism and there was a lot of cultural strife. And what this resorted to, because these communities were so small in number, and they tended to be family units that were connected to other family units, and some of them actually tended to prosper where it was allowed, like in England and France. Well, people resented that, and they had what is called the pogrom. And this is a horrible, it's like if you think the Nazis were bad, it's basically like that, but on a smaller scale, where they just rounded up, took away the rights of Jewish people, and did horrible things to them. So based on this treatment, I mean, put yourself in their place if you're not Jewish. Wouldn't you have a little mistrust of Christians? Well, this dangerous game that the Jews are playing and have been playing for some time is that they don't want to see these pogroms happening in America. And in the early part of the country, a lot of people had a lot of resentment against anybody in this country who was not Christian. In fact, when they wrote the Constitution and they said Congress will establish no religion, they really had no idea there would be a question of something other than a Christian religion. They were talking about Catholicism, Protestantism, Calvinism, whatever was around that day. So that was what they were really concerned about. And when the Jewish people came here from the beginning, because of animosities that had been brought over from Europe, well, they were a lot of times discriminated against, and it just was really kind of starting to be the same thing. So the Jews started to get into things like when Hollywood came out. A lot of Jews got into Hollywood. Jews, of course, banking, professional trades, and basically took over like the intelligentsia of teaching, whatever else, right? And basically they made it possible to put a thought process on the American people. And this thought process started to come out in, they started to protest against, well, we don't want to see the nativity scene on Christmas. And it's not supposed to be Christmas, it's supposed to be a holiday. So the Jewish people, starting back at the turn of the 19th century, or the 20th century, sorry, they really started to ramp up this idea that Christianity was like offensive to people, and now we see that it's gone full, it's run its full course today, where there's just not that many Christians. So that is a problem. And the problem is that now Israel, whose only justification is the Bible, is about to be attacked. So everybody thinks, or there's going to be an attack from Iran or from Israel, but everybody's looking and they're waiting for this war. All right. So let's talk about this war for a second, because a lot of people don't really even know what's going on. The first thing is, how can the Israelis be allied with the Saudis and the Emiratis and the Omanis? Well, it goes back to the time of Muhammad, and Muhammad called Jews and Christians people of the book. So there is no problem as far as Islam goes with the Jews and the and Muslims getting along. No problem there. The problem is that the Iranians are what you call Shia Muslims. Now, what that means is they wanted a descendant of the Prophet Muhammad to be the head of this, what they call the caliphate. The worldwide caliphate is going to be a descendant of Muhammad. And there was a succession of caliphs that came from Syria, that came from Damascus, that came from Baghdad. And so they did not respect or adhere to this idea of a family caliphate based on the Prophet Muhammad's lineage. So that is why you have an alliance now of the Saudis, Emiratis, almost the Egyptians, not the Egyptians. Because when you look at it the other way, it is an alliance of money versus no money. And I'll just give you a little bit of background. In 1973, the Iranians tried to take Mecca. The Saudis have never forgiven them for that. So now, at this point in time, when they look to be so close to mixing it up, and not only mixing it up, but pulling in China and pulling in the US and pulling in Russia into this battle, people really do not understand what's going on. And it is really, really frightening. But what is really frightening for the Israelis is that they have really destroyed Christianity, the only place they would have had justification in the United States. And so now what they're doing is, have you noticed how we can't secure our border, but the Israelis can secure theirs? Have you noticed that Netanyahu can say that Israel is a Jewish state, right? A Jewish state. How come we can't say that the United States is a Christian nation? Okay? Why is it that they have so many more rights? They can secure their border, but they can't secure ours. Well, the answer to that is, again, the Israelis, the Jews, the Hebrews, whatever, have been playing this game of trying to destroy Christianity, but now in their time of crisis, in their time of utmost need, they're trying to say, oh, our justification is the Bible, and our justification is Christianity. Well, you know what? It just might be too late, because in the United States now, thanks to the people like the ACLU and all of these people who come out and attack Christians openly, people are afraid to come out and support or even be a Christian in some places publicly, and they certainly, thanks to the left, are, which is part of this thing that they were trying to push on us. Well, now the left hates them. So now that the Israelis are really, I hate to say it, but they are filling up that outhouse with square objects. They're doing it now, and the reason they're doing it is because of their own bad moves. So they are in a lot of trouble, and the only way that they can justify their existence is by coming to Jesus. Well, in a sense, they want you to come to Jesus and support them. All right, well, that's the way it is, and this is Deceptions of the Ages. I guess I'll add Deceptions of the Ages news. Please hit that subscribe button. Let's get us back up to 10,000, and we'll see you next time.